Well, hello everybody. Pastor Randy here. Welcome to Making It Simple. We're back again with another lesson in the storm, finding our faith, holding on to our faith in the storm. We left off yesterday as the disciples are in the boat. The picture that it is beginning to paint as we're seeing the wind and the waves and all the stuff that's going on. As we left off yesterday, I talked about a picture being painted. But what we're finding here is the illustration of a life without an anchor of faith. If you've ever been on a boat, when one anchors, it is in a position to where that anchor has the weight to keep that boat still. Keep it in that one place. Keep it safe with whatever's coming on. We see the storm in this story. We see it as active. When we began this teaching a few days ago, I said that being in the storm and seeing the storm are two very different things. All right, so we can visualize something through television and maybe even from the safety of our home. Right here where I live, just yesterday, it was a wind and thunder and lightning and rain and whatever. But I was in the safety of my office. There was nothing to really worry about. Had I had to have been outside in the pelting rain and the wind blowing stuff, that would have been different. Seeing the storm and being in the storm are two completely very different things. And so it's not an easy ask, if you will, as we're looking at the concept of what this story is telling, is to find trust in the storm, faith in the storm. But here's my challenge to you. It is there. It is in that very place. That is where we find the strength of our faith. In other words, what do I really believe? That's the whole challenge of this story. The disciples had witnessed just prior to this moment. We have to understand the storyline, if you will, the timeline. Because here what we're finding is they had just literally witnessed a miracle of miracles, the feeding of the masses. They saw these baskets never go empty. And that's a whole different lesson that we could do on a different day. But at the end of the day, they doubted prior to that feeding how it was going to happen. They not only saw that doubt met, they saw the need met. And at the end of it, there were leftovers. You see, friends, the strength of our faith is oftentimes found in the storm. So this was the scene. This is the picture that we're seeing painted here by the writer. Chaos, and the boat is being tossed about, and uncertainty and hopelessness. That sounds like getting up on a Monday. That sounds like ending the week on a Friday and wondering what is next. It's not that every day is that way, because that wouldn't be a true statement. But in general, life tends to have these moments. The storm is real. And when we're in that storm versus seeing that storm, the actions are very, very different. And so here what we find the disciples in the storm. It's active, and again, the boat is being beaten to death and the water's coming on, and there's a lot of uncertainty there of what are we going to do? How are we going to make it? How in the world is this going to work out? And then we read, as this story continues, we read Jesus, this is verse 25 of Matthew chapter 14, Jesus came toward them. Now mind you what it says here. They were in the boat. The boat was a distance from the land, so the safety zone was no longer there. So now uncertainty and anxiety and everything else is going to be taken over. And then it tells us Jesus came toward them walking on the sea, walking on the water, very early in the morning. Now, there's so many great things here. Their chaos is abounding. Everything is happening. The wind is crashing and the waves are smashing and everything is happening. And here comes Jesus, walking on the water. Now, I said to you in the very first lesson that we oftentimes are enamored with that statement or that illustration of Jesus walking on the water, and we get tangled up in that because of the supernatural, the wow, the how could that possibly be, the miracle, all the different parts of the person walking on water, which we know physically cannot be done. We know that. But nothing's impossible for God, right? But I want you to hear me. That is not, and I stand by this, that is not the key part of what that means. It is not the supernatural, because there's nothing God can't do. That's not even really a big deal. God made the water. He could walk on it if he wants to. Here's where the point of that matter comes. They're in the storm. They're in their storm. In it. Literally in it. It's happening right that moment. And they look out, and Jesus is walking toward them on the water, on the sea. Why does that matter? Why does that matter? Here it is. What was causing them the problem? The water. The upturned sea, the stirring, the wind, the waves. That's what was causing them the problem. What was Jesus doing to that problem? You see where we're going? He was walking on it. What does that share with them? What does that share with us as we face our very own storms? The very thing that was giving them an issue was already under his feet. Now I want you to pause right there for just a moment and think about that. Jesus, by the walking on the water before them, was letting them know, I got this. But you have to trust me. The very thing causing you an issue today, whatever it might be, it may be a storm. Maybe it's emotional or financial or health or family or work or whatever it is. And none of us are exempt. I have my own that I'm going through right now. What he is telling us is, if you look out, you'll see me coming towards you, and it's already under my feet. Friends, this is the power. This is the authority of Christ. There is no issue, and I believe this with all my heart, there is no issue that he can't address. But it requires, absolutely requires, that we trust him in the storm. Not after, not before, in. Those other two times are important as well. But it's most important in. Because it is in the storm we forget. We do. And we see that in this very story. The storm, the waves, and the crashing in the boat, all of that. This very one who created the water, he has authority over it. We just tend to forget that when we think the ship is doomed. How often do we say, it's over? I can't. Oh boy. And the list of cliches and statements could go on and on and on and on that all point to the idea of, I'm giving up. It's too hard. I can't do this. This storm is too difficult. What God is telling us today, and we're going to stop right here for the week, and I'll be back on Monday, Lord willing. What God is telling us right now is no matter what storm you're facing, there's nothing we can't do together. But is your faith anchored in me? And do you trust me even in the storm? Will you look out? Will you realize as he comes walking toward you on whatever that issue is, he'll get you through it. Didn't say it would be easy. Didn't say you wouldn't get wet. Didn't say your boat wouldn't take on some water. Didn't say it might not be missing a few boards. But he said, we'll get through it. We is the key word. God bless you. Have a great day. And Lord willing, we'll be here next week with more Making It Simple.